Hello guys and welcome to another tutorial. In this video we're going to take a look at the effects engine in the AirStream DMX bridge. So let's get started here. So we've currently got our two inner pocket spots selected and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the dimmer and the shutter. So we've got some light coming out of them and I'm going to jump over into my effects page and here you can see a bank of 24 different effects we can record and play back. Now hopefully in the future that will be expanded to allow you to create many more effects with multiple pages, but for now you're limited to just 24 different effects. Now there are three different types of effects you can create with AirStream Bridge. You've got shape effects, color effects and flash effects. So I'm going to start off by building a shape effect. Now to get into the effects builder you can see here on the top right we've got a button that says shape effects and it's going to page across into our interface to build our effects. So currently here you can see we've got a circle. This is a pan and tilt XY grid. We can get a circle here, we can move it around and change its size and then press play in the bottom right and you'll see here that our moving lights have started creating a circle. It's very similar in a way to the DMX effects engine and how that deals with position effects. So underneath here you can see we've got some different options. We're currently in circle mode and you can see we've got a controller here for speed, so I can speed that up just like so to get a much faster circle. We can of course stop and play the effect. And then I've also got the options for direction. I can have it going forwards or reverse. And then finally here, if we click on the speed button, we'll access the offset section. If we use the offset slider here, you can see here that we can then offset the lights from each other if you're using multiple fixtures. And you can see now the moving lights are offset, creating a nice kind of sweeping moving light effect. So I'm going to go ahead and move the circle into the top left-hand corner and it's going to give me an effect that points out more towards the audience. You can see here in real time, as I move the circle around, that will affect the lighting fixtures behind me. So that is the simple circle mode. However, we've got different options here. We can go into draw mode and this allows you to draw a custom path. So I can go ahead and draw a figure of 8. And hit play and the lights are now going to go ahead and follow the path that I've drawn them on the pan and tilt grid. This time we've got a couple of different options. We can also clear the path and then we've also got the option to close the path. So if I go ahead and create kind of a big oval, I haven't actually closed and completed that circle. So if I hit the close button, that's automatically going to fill the gap for me and complete my effects path. Now an important thing to mention about the draw function is the lights will move at the speed you drew the path. So if I start drawing really slowly here and speed up and go slowly and speed up and maybe a bit faster and then a bit slowly at the end and then I'm going to close the path by clicking close. You'll notice now when I play that back the lights are going to move at the speed that I drew them. So you can see this light here is going slowly and then it speeds up exactly where I sped up while drawing the path. Finally, we have the points mode here, which allows us to touch on the screen to create various points to create a point-to-point path. So I'm for now going to go ahead and go back to the circle, create a circle positioned up there and give it a nice offset, speed it up a little bit and try and create kind of a nice fan over out towards the audience. I'm quite happy with how that effect looks, so I'm going to go ahead and save that into our effects bank. So to do that, you need to hit the Save Effects button at the top of the screen, and then it will take you to the Assign menu. Now in the Assign menu, you can save that effect to any of your 24 buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and save this to button number 1. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Audience Pan. And you've also got the option here to set a button appearance. You can use the default icon or you can go ahead into your camera roll and you can import any image you like. I'm just going to pick a random image. And then you've also got the option of the button label here. So I'm going to give this Aud Pan, give it a shorthand name so it's easier to read. And then in the top right, I'm going to hit save. And that effect has now been saved. I can exit out of here, exit out of my effects. And in the effects banks here, you can see effect number 1 is our audience pan. And when I tap on it, it's immediately going to recall that effect for those lights I had programmed. So that was a position effect controlling pan and tilt. But what about our second type of effect, which is a color effect? To do that, I'm going to go ahead and select some different fixtures. I'm going to grab my pocket washes. I'm going to turn on the dimmer and the shutter, and I'm going to give them a position. And then I'm also going to grab my megabar, make sure the dimmer channel for this light is turned on, so we'll be able to see the output. And then I'm also going to grab the 5p hex, which has no dimmer, so that's all ready to go. So I'm going to select all those lights, go back into the effects window here, and I'm going to scroll to my shape effects, and then scroll to the next page, which is my color effects. You'll see at the top here I have our color range, which is a spectrum, a rainbow of all the different colors we can create. And you'll see at either end there we've got two different markers. And we can click and we can drag these markers to different points in the spectrum. So if I want to create a color effect that goes between cyan and pink, I simply grab my markers and move them to cyan and pink. And then I can press play. And you'll see there it's now cycling a color effect on all of those lights between cyan and pink. We've got a few other options underneath. We've got a slider here which controls our time for the effect. It will control our speed. You can see here it's currently taking 14 seconds to complete the effect. And then next to our play pause control, we've got the option for bounce or loop. Now, because we're not using the entire spectrum here, we're going between two different points, we're going to want to bounce between the two colors. Otherwise, you'll get a step where it snaps from pink back to cyan to continue its effect cycle. Once we've created an effect we like, we can go ahead and save that effect. Let's click on another empty blank here. Let's call this cyan pink. And I'm just going to leave the appearance for that as default. Click done, and then tap save in the top right. And you can see there, success, the effect has been saved. So now we can go back, we can clear everything we've created. And when we go ahead back into our effects bank here, we can tap on cyan and pink, and it will load our effect. However, you've noticed that so far, only the 5p hex has come on. And that's because it's only controlling the color values for that channel. So you have to remember there that all of the other lights have a dimmer and shutter channel on them. So if I go back and grab my pocket washes, I turn on the shutter and turn on the dimmer, you can see they are doing the effect. However, the dimmer channel was down. Same with the megabar here. So it's important when you're saving your effects to think about what parameters need to be on for those effects to work. So you may need to have other scenes running in the background for you to be able to view your different effects. So that was color effects. Final different type of effect we have on this controller is the flash effects. So what I'm going to do here is grab all of my lighting fixtures and create a look. So now I've got behind me a look where all of my lights are turned on in white. So now I've selected all my fixtures, I'm going to go into the effects window. I'm going to scroll past the shape effects, past the color effects, and into our flash effects. Flash effects are basically a way of creating a dimmer chase across your lights with a particular sequence or order. So you can see here we've got 24 flash buttons. So I'm going to go ahead now and create a little flashing sequence here. So all I need to do that is just start tapping. So I'm going to start tapping an order that I want. So that is a random little sequence there. And then I can go ahead and press play. And it's going to go ahead and repeat that sequence. You can see there the lights start turning off because, of course, remember this works with LTP, latest takes precedence. So until they receive the instruction from the flash effects, they're still recalling the information from my channel controls. So now we're running that flash effects there. You can see as it chases across the fixtures, it's flashing them individually. However, you'll notice that channel 5 is grayed out. We can't control it, we can't tap on it, we can't add it into the effect. And the reason for that is the 5B hex has no dimmer channel. So while it may have RGB, AW, UV, there's no DMX dimmer control, and therefore the AirStream bridge can't control its dimmer channel. So make sure if you want to be able to do effects like this, you have all your lights running in their most extended mode and have access to things like a master dimmer channel. So I'm going to go ahead now and change that slightly. I'm just going to hit clear, which will wipe my current saved effect, and I'm just going to create a simple chase going like so. And I'm going to ramp up the speed a bit. You've got other options here to change the intensity of the flashing, and you've also got an option to make the effect loop or bounce. Once you've created a look you're happy with, you can press the Save Effects button, and we're back into our Assign menu. I can tap on an empty slot, and I'm going to create this as a dimmer chase, and I'm going to change the picture to be this disco ball, because why not? Tap save, and we can then go back to our effects window here and enable our dimmer chase. So let's say I want to go ahead and edit an effect. Say I'm not happy with this audience pan I've got here. I can press the edit effects button in the top left and then tap on audience pan, and it will load that effect into the editor. So then when I go back into the shape effects, my effect has been recalled. I can play it and I can adjust it how I want. I can make it a bit faster. Let's say I want it to be really fast. And then I can hit save effects. And now what I can do is tap on audience pan, and I can tap on overwrite file, which will update the save information for that particular effect. Now this next little section is actually really important, so make sure you listen closely. It's the way that the AirStream DMX Bridge app saves information with regards to effects, scenes, and shows. So if I go here into the Edit Effects window, we get our list of our different effects on our different buttons. Now let's say I don't want that cyan pink chase anymore. I can swipe across and delete it. However, I haven't actually deleted the effect. All I've done is unassigned it from that bank. So I can go ahead here onto bank number 6, tap the little eye icon, and it'll give me a list of all my effect files. And this is all the effects I've ever created. And I can go ahead and re-add that and reassign it to bank number 6. So even though you're limited to only 24 different buttons for your effects, you can actually have many more stored within your show file and then move them around and reassign them to different buttons. So when you remove an effect from this menu, you're not deleting it, you're simply unassigning it from one of the buttons. If you want to delete an effect permanently, press the eye icon to go into the effects files and then swipe across and hit delete. And now you've permanently deleted that effect. So that is a look at how effects work in the AirStream DMX Bridge app. Again, you've got the 3 different types. You've got the pan and tilt effects, the color effects, and the flash effects. Make sure you go check out the rest of my tutorial videos by clicking on the annotation here or the first link in the description down below. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.